Time 6 p.m., September 19th, 2023. I call to order the regular scheduled Oconee County Council meeting. First order of business is moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you pray for us?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Dearest Father, you are wonderful to us. Just no way around that. So many things to be grateful for. Really even being just grateful for gratitude, that you make that a good place to be. So help us to reside with an attitude of gratitude, with appreciation for your many gifts, for the many opportunities to live, to play, and to work. And I pray this evening that we do work, that we do good work in your name and for the benefit of all. May this be your meeting. Please guide us. In your name I pray. Amen.
Ms. Odell Price, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have approval of minutes for September 5th, 2023.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion, any changes? Hearing none, all in favor? Let's have a proclamation recognizing United States Constitution Week. It's proclamation 2023-07, whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves.
Make a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
This way.
Okay. This is our regents. Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. And we still want a photo. Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
Everybody in? Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Okay, next we have county attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
No comments, Mr. Root. Okay, county administrator comments, Mr. Maynard Brock.
I
know if y'all been this lucky in a while, Mr. Chairman. I have none either.
No comments, thank you. Okay, next we have public comment session. Again, you have 5 minutes to speak. When you reach 4 minutes, I hold up the yellow card. Red card when you hit the 5 minutes. Please state your name when you come to the podium for the record. Again, council is not going to discourse out and back to you during public comment. If a council member would like to reply, they can in the next section, which is council member comment.
Mr. Luther Lyle.
My name's Luther Lyle. I'm from Hollow. I'd like to talk about billboards. I heard some comments at a previous council meeting about billboards. So last Sunday after church service and Sunday dinner, my granddaughter and I went out to take a look at billboards to see, what the situation was. So we had to just choose one highway, so we chose 123, starting at the Georgia line and going all the way to Clemson. Found some really interesting things here. From the 123 Tupelo Bridge at the state line and going towards Westminster, there is one billboard. And it's one of the big billboards, and it has a front and back. So one side had an advertisement on it, and the other side was blank, or available, as they say. Then going from Westminster to Seneca, that's where things picked up. There were multiple billboards there, and they were single height or double height, double decker, I guess you call, and then most of them were front and back. So out of those, there was a total of 51 established billboards, some, like I said, front and back, top and bottom and all that. So out of 51, 5 were available. 51 had advertisements and 5 were available, 66 total. Then from Seneca to Clemson, it was about the same situation. Oh, we did not do inside the city limits because that's not under county jurisdiction. So cities can allow billboards in there. So Westminster and Seneca had the most inside the city limits. So that's up to them. So going from Seneca to Clemson, we had a total of 61, and 51 were used and 4 were available. I took pictures of some of them. I had to be careful when I put it off the road because I didn't want my granddaughter to get hit by a car. She's kind of precious to me. So I found out some interesting facts about who owns these billboards and who gets the rent from them. I think there were 5 or 6 different companies. One was Excel Advertising, and their advertisement had available, and most of their billboards are available. And they are out of Miami Beach, Florida. And it was another one, Southern Billboards, out of Nashville, Tennessee. Lamar Billboards, out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Trailhead Media, out of Laurel, Mississippi. The only billboard company that was in South Carolina at all was Fruitland, and they're out of Gaffney, South Carolina. Some of the interesting things I saw, a lot of them were advertising things that are not in Oconee County. So it's not local advertising. It's advertising for things like in Greenville, Spartanburg, Gaffney. Here's one from Cartersville, Georgia. And you may have seen this young lady on some of the signs. She has multiple signs between Seneca and Westminster. It's one right after another with her picture on it. And so she's advertising a law firm out of Cartersville, Georgia. So I'm thinking, why do we have all these billboards that aren't being used? And who's making money off of this? That's my question. I know you probably don't have the answer to that right now. But years ago, we organized a committee, which later became a commission, to have a scenic highway here in Oconee County, coming out of Walhalla and Ford's halfway branch. That's designated an Oconee County scenic highway. And so we don't have monster billboards on that. And the reason I was behind that effort was I taught in Pendleton for 16 years. And going and coming, I enjoyed seeing the view coming back into Walhalla from a hard day at work, seeing the mountains and no billboards blocking the view. So I wish we could do more of that. I'm not opposed to all billboards, just the monster billboards that block the view when you want to see something, that's meaningful to you, and you can't see it because there's a billboard in the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Law.
Mr. Jim Mann.
Jim Mann, Oconee County Republican Party Chairman and District 2 taxpayer, Chairman Durham, Councilman, Ms. Brock, Mr. Root. The Oconee County Republican Party extended a second invitation to the county council for a public town hall, that date either being October 10th or October 12th. We revised the layout of the town hall, if you will, according to Mr. Durham's input, and then also Mr. Durham requested Mr. Morningstar moderate. So we came up with 10 conditions of the format to try and accommodate the chairman's concerns. To date, both Mr. Davis and Mr. Elliott have confirmed for the 10th. I was able to talk to Mr. Hart and Mr. Mize just a minute ago, and they have declined. I haven't got a chance to talk to Mr. Durham. For those councilmen, it looks like we're gonna have it on October 10th. So we'll move forward, but for those councilmen who choose not to attend this town hall, we'll extend a separate town hall in your district opportunity, just for your districts, so that those people in that part of the county have an opportunity to hear from their district representative and ask questions pertinent to actually extending beyond the budget, but with regards to all county matters per Chairman Durham. So if you change your mind, the day's not done. Today's the last day to decide. Feel free to participate. I think it'd be beneficial. And there was a question asked at the last meeting about there being Democratic Party interest. So I have talked to the Oconee County Democratic Party Chairman, Ms. Gollin, and she assures me that the Democrats will be glad to attend, and they'll also be submitting questions for the town hall, so there's strong bipartisan support. Thank you.
Mr. Don Maury.
Good evening, council. John Maury from Mountain Rest. Say, I want to talk to you a little bit this evening about a chunk of change story. I gave you a copy of it. But before we get there, I'd like to do a little housekeeping, a little history. Since it's just Constitution Week, I guess it's good I remind y'all that, well, I think most of us in this room are Americans, kind of citizens too. It's very degrading to have the OCC people talk about vetting people that come to the county that weren't born here. I think it's very tacky, damn sure not within the Constitution. Most of the population growth that's come here in the past 10, 15 years has been retirees and students. Retirees that come and build nice homes that don't bring a big burden to the educational system. They also pay a pretty good hunk of the taxes. So I'd like for y'all that are thinking about degrading the kindness of the people that have moved here since you were born here. Kind of like to see you back off that. Next item, the county is not a commercial land developer. In 2005, 18 years ago, before y'all were on the council, some of your buddies before you, much to the chagrin of the taxpayers, bought the Golden Corner Commerce Park. Put sewer to it in 2016, and there it sits today. You're getting ready to do the same thing again with all this other crap that you got going on. But also, I also like to convey to you thoughts from a lot of the taxpayers that we would like to counsel to send a letter to the sewer authority supporting the impact fees. The citizens and taxpayers, especially people in Mountain Rest that don't have a dog in the hunt for $50 million worth of sewer that y'all are working on, are tired of the county being a commercial developer. We want the developer to pay for his improvements. Why are people not coming to the county? According to the figures from the Department of Employment and Workforce, our unemployment rate is 3.4%. There are 3,777 jobs according to their July 23 census, and only 1,234 people that can take those jobs. So there's 3 times the number of jobs available in the county in July than people to take them. Now we get down to the bonds and this, all this sewer that y'all are wanting to build out there. $25 million worth of bond, $12 million worth of sewer to the Welcome Center. They'll really enjoy that. Taxpayers in Mountain Rest aren't too enthused about your selections of that, but let's go into the chunk of change story here that you have in front of you. If you needed, for some ungodly reason, to spend $25 million over 20 years, that's the left category, under direct appropriation, which is taxing, direct taxing, if you needed to do that, that would generate, under that train of thought, $1,250,000 a year, or $104,000 a month. So what are you going to spend $104,000 a month on for the next 20 years? I made this handout here for you based on the 20-year bond, which is over on the right category. A municipal or general obligation bond for 20 years, the current rate's 4.4%. My time's running out, so you'll see about the 8 or 10 different fees and consultants involved. I used a 2% estimation of the fees for that to put that bond together. $500,000 just to initiate this bond. That's $500,000. Now you get down to paying it back.
Motion for 2.
If you pay back,
Extension.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Please continue 2 more minutes.
thank you, sir. Okay, we go back, the cost of the bonds at 2%, generating a upfront cost, or a cost that you put into the bond itself. Well, let's say you put the money into the bond itself, because I don't think you have $500,000 hanging around. $25,500,000 at 4.4% for 4 years. The payback is $38,388,000. The difference between that and you just taxing us and getting the money at $104,000 a month for a project, it's 153%. So 100% for taxiness, 153% if you take out this bond. That, gentlemen, is a lot of difference and a lot of money. This is bond money, by the way, isn't grant money. Don't want the citizens to feel like that we're not paying it back. So if you can tax this at $104,000 a month, or you're going to wind up taxing us at $159,000 a month, because it's got to be paid for. It doesn't go away. I would appreciate your consideration and rethinking this bond thing. If you need $25 million, start taxing us. We don't have another 50% to be spending on such things. Thank you.
Mr. Mike McAllister.
My name is Mike McAllister, live in Seneca. I don't know how many of you had get the Seneca Journal. Last Tuesday, front page of this addresses 4 proposed subdivisions totaling 746 acres in Seneca. Nearly 1,900 residential homes. This is in 4 separate subdivisions. I know that progress is going to take us on to many housing projects. There's others in the area, down in Wells Highway at the end of Oak Street. They're building, clearing land over beside where the new middle school is. Around Paul's Diner, I forgot how many's there, okay? My point here is, my concern is Highway 130 between Ingalls and the Oconee Nuclear Station. I worked at the Oconee Nuclear Station, okay? And I know I traveled that road hundreds of times, day and night. I'll tell you, it's a dangerous road, especially 5 o'clock quitting time in the afternoon, going to work in the morning. Mr. Elliott, I think the area I'm talking about is in your district, if I looked at the map correctly, okay? Now, you can do whatever you want to and build these 4 subdivisions, and where they are is if you're heading out Highway 130, when you come to the first dam, just beyond that is where the 746 acres of property, and it is owned by the Kiowee River Preservation Group, LLC. I have no idea where those people are, where this group is. There are people all over this country coming in here and building housing developments. It's going to look like when you fly in over someplace in Los Angeles or someplace like that before it's over. Can't stop that. This is my concern after saying all of that. If anything were to happen at the Oconee Nuclear Station and it required medevac or the subdivisions for medevac, if there was a fire, if there was any kind of EMS access that needed to be made, okay? They talk about a study, a DOT study. I don't believe in DOT studies myself. I think what that is a done deal. It tells you where you're going to be able to pull off of a 2-lane highway and how many access points you have, and if they are, no, it's not if, where they're going to put traffic lights, okay? That's pretty much it. There are 2, all the rest of the roads in Seneca are 4-lane highways for egress. There are 2 that are 2-lane. Highway 59, Highway 130. I don't care what you think you can do to Highway 130. If you wanted to make it 4-lane, it's not going to happen. You have 2 dams, and those dams were put there for a reason, okay? And something that if these people want to build these 4 subdivisions, that's fine, okay? It's probably a done deal anyway. But if they're so hell-bent on building these 4 subdivisions,
why don't you have them come in and make their own access on the backside from Clemson, from Old Clemson Highway, and come in from the backside? Let them put in all the infrastructure. Let them put in all the water and gas. Let them do everything that they're wanting to, but that would take money out of their pocket, right? You would have 3 access points on Highway 130 from these subdivisions. It's a bad idea, okay? If I can see that, I don't know why the Planning Commission cannot see that. I think I made my point. So,
Thank you. That's all? Anybody else like to speak that did not sign up? Okay, next we move to council member comment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address the gentleman. I am totally against that 4 developments, absolutely. Possibly 6,000 people accessing that 130. There's no way to make it 4 lanes, as you point out. Those dikes are there, they're done deal. The most beautiful, there's some beautiful areas up in Mount Rest. You start out on 130 above Ingalls and come up the Rochester Highway, there's 2 dikes. Hopefully you're not driving, but look out at the lake and these beautiful mountains. And then you come up on all the woods on both sides. One side is where they want to put density. There's like 9 1/4 acre lots. These are going to be cookie cutter houses. I am totally against it. I'm not sure how to stop it, but I am not going to let taxpayers pay for any sewer going up there or any water lines going up there. And if the developer wants to do it, he's on his own. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Anyone else like to speak?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to respond to Mr. Mann. I want to paraphrase something that Adlai Stevenson said in the UN to the Russian embassy. It'll be a cold day in hell before I respond to that. When you were elected vice chair, I was there. I had great hopes for you. And after hearing you say that you was there to help Mr. McMillan finish up his term as a chairman, a strong finish for chairman. That was the first lie I heard. Then we got Mr. Smith that was stalked on his Friday night eating joint when you went in there and you tried to accuse him of threatening you, and the law wouldn't even take it. Lie number 2. And if the Republican Party has no more credibility or integrity as they are following right now with the manipulations and things are different, the grand old party is going to be in a bad shape.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other comments?
Touching base on the subdivisions, that property, that Kiwi River, I think that was bought 15, 16 years ago, and they had submitted plans then for developing that entire area. For whatever reason, it didn't happen then, but it's not something that, some of that area was bought before some of the other area was developed around the lake. Growing up here, there's very few homes on the lake. Now, the population around the lake is probably quadrupled or probably more than that. So it's kind of honestly growing pains. So am I for incentivizing that? No. But that land, I see a lot of complaints where people talk about that land used to be farmland, or that land used to be trees, or whatever else it is. And my thought process behind this is, we're dealing with growth. And there's a lot of complaints about the growth, that we want to keep Oconee the way it is. And then you see, coming back on the bond, $25 million sewer, we're actually up to almost probably $50 million by the time we get done with all the sewer out there in Fairplay to make this, what I've read with some people, is this industrial area. So let's say we're gonna add 1,000+ jobs, and I hope there's industry that comes out there, and I hope it comes quick, because if not, what are we putting all this sewer in the ground for? So with that, 1,000+ homes, you're gonna gain a population based on what the normal is on that is probably 2,500 to 4,000 in population. So where are the people gonna live in the subdivisions that everybody's complaining about right now? Unless we're going to just say to the industry, you gotta hire people outside of Oconee County. And that's, to me, not why we're doing the economic development. We're doing it to continually have good employment, which we do. We have the lowest unemployment Oconee County's ever experienced. We have the most people working. So with that, there is some growing pains. The amount we're spending in fire and police is part of that. That's where the largest part of the budget growth, and that's where it's going to continue to grow. But just talking about the bond, I just saw this tonight that was kind of brought up, so I hadn't had a chance to look through it. But if you see in our neighboring counties, they're looking to bond $65+ million to fix their sewer plant. Once all this bonding that we're doing goes into place, as well as all that in there, and let's say that it gets at 50% capacity in the lines, it's going to take our sewer plant close to capacity. Who's going to pay for that? OJRSA is going to look to us to pay for it. Why should the cities pay for it if we're the ones increasing the capacity, is what they're going to say. So just the writing's on the wall that the amount of money that we're fixing to put in sewer has to go up. I think y'all saw it for yourself when you worked through this budget season. You tried to lower the budget. It didn't work out. You did some good things in the budget. I appreciate everybody working hard on that. A lot of those spent a lot more time than others, so I appreciate that. And I'm speaking to, I know Mr. Durham worked a lot harder than I did on that, so I appreciate that. But you get in there and you dive in and you really see what it takes to run this county. And we're going to have to put a whole lot more money on infrastructure. Tonight you're going to see it coming across. Budget's got to grow again, needs to grow again for roads. One of the number one complaints we get in this county is roads. More money needs to go to roads. So is the budget growing? Yeah, it's going to continue to grow. Y'all seen it for yourself. That's why you approve the budget. It's going to grow. It's going to have to grow to meet the demands of the citizens. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move to public hearing. Public hearing for ordinance 2023-14, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of addenda to the lease agreements between Oconee County and the Foothills Farmstead. And 2, the Fair Oak Youth Center Incorporated, in order to effect the transfer of certain property from the Fair Oak Youth Center lease premises to the Farmstead lease premises and other matters related to.
Have no speakers.
Anyone signed up for public hearing? All right, I close public hearing on ordinance 2023-14. Next, we have ordinance 2023-15, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an amendment, to purchase and sale agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Mine America LLC, and other related matters.
No speakers.
No speakers? I close public hearing on ordinance 2023-15. Next, we have ordinance 2023-16. That's an ordinance to amend and supplement ordinance 2023-01, which established the budget for Oconee County and provided for the levy of taxes for ordinary county purposes, for the Tri-County Technical College Special Revenue Fund, for the Emergency Services Protection Special Revenue Fund, for the Road Maintenance Special Revenue Fund, for the Bridge and Culvert Capital Project Fund, for the Economic Development Capital Project Fund, for the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Capital Projects Fund, for the Debt Services Fund, for the Victim Services Special Revenue Funds, for the Capital Vehicle Equipment Fund, and for the creation of the Fire and Emergency Services Capital Vehicle and Equipment Fund, the Community Health and Community Services Fund, the General One-Time Capital Fund, all in Oconee County for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024, in order to effect supplemental appropriations and other matters related thereto.
We have one speaker, Mr. Jim Mann.
Gentlemen, first I want to be clear that on this, the final and third reading of the proposed budget, I will not be suggesting material changes to be made. So just want to be clear on that. Inside the front cover here on the ordinance, I have a lot of questions and concerns, but I'm going to keep this brief. For the section of road maintenance, and for the section of bridges and culverts, it's noted that there are no changes in store. You know, through various meetings here in this chamber, the public has offered feedback, and probably the most consistent feedback has been complaints levied related to the conditions of our roads and bridges, infrastructure. In spite of all that feedback, when you look at the inside details, no change for either of those is what I'm questioning. If you turn to page 83 and look at the details on page 83, it indeed shows no change, except that in 2023 and 2024, less is budgeted than in both those years than was budgeted in 2022, $165,000 less. If you look on page 87, under bridges and culverts, you'll note that there is a change. Funding was decreased by 46%, or $270,000 from the amended budget, which in turn is $375,000 less than was spent in 2022. So for something that has been a major topic of public concern, I question why the budget does not reflect any of those comments that were brought to the council's attention. The last item is something that many of you may consider trivial, but I think is needed a consideration. There are a lot of taxpayers in the county who have unimproved gravel driveways. The proposed 2024 fee structure for aggregate represents a 17% increase on average. I don't know the justification behind that increase, other than the quarry is a big moneymaker for the county. So it's an opportunity, I guess, to increase the take. I would ask the county to reconsider, and I've given you a sheet of paper here. I've asked you to reconsider a personal use, non-business rate for products coming from the quarry. As opposed to the 70% increase, just leave the fees the same. For a personal or non-business use, don't make any increase. You ask how you're gonna do that. Well, pretty much the same way you do it at the landfill, solid waste complex. Is this personal use or is this business? It's pretty easy to tell who's doing it for profit, who's hauling product for profit, and who's doing it out of necessity. It may not seem like much, but I think the risk versus the reward is something to consider if it's not too late. And then the last thing that I'll say is, whenever a group, it doesn't matter who they are, or an individual, asks or expects a person to compromise their integrity in the name of loyalty, that is the definition of corruption. And that will ruin any organization. It doesn't matter if it's the Democratic Party, Republican Party, county
This is
council,
public
city
hearing
council.
on the budget. Please stay on topic.
I think my statement was clear. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I forgot to remind you.
Yeah, I just saw it. Mr. Root, I had a letter to read into for public comment. Procedurally, how can I do that since we've changed?
Go ahead and it's not a public comment for this hearing on the budget. It's
No.
back to public. So let's finish this public hearing and
Okay.
then you can just, if there's no objection, just read it off. And we'll just open public comment back to
No further speakers.
No further?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right, so I'm gonna read in a letter for public.
Yeah, close the.
Thank you. All right, so I close public hearing on ordinance 2023-16.
Let's go through the third readings and then come back to that, because for the sake of the video stuff.
I will say it before we enter executive session, if anybody don't have any objections to that. Okay, now we have third reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023-14. Previously read is on your screen. That's the ordinance authorizing the transfer between the Foothills Farmstead and the Fair Youth Center.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Okay, next reading is ordinance 2023-15. And that's the ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an amendment to purchase and sale agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina and Mine America.
Motion approved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to welcome them to Oconee County, and we look forward to them growing as we grow.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Comments?
I'd like to echo that, and that's a agricultural support industry. I know we've heard that from Ag Advisory and all across that we're trying to get more agricultural related products. This is a buildable product that supports the ag industry, so we're grateful that they chose us, and thank you, Mr. Gilbert and his staff for all the work that they've done to secure them there, and thank you for council for rating OITP over the years and making sure we have everything in order. So I think they took the site very well, so thank you and your staff, Mr. Gilbert, for what y'all are continuing to do for Oconee County.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
All right, next, we have ordinance 2023-16 on your screens. This previously read, this is the budget amendment. Have a motion?
First, I'd like a motion.
Make the motion?
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, are you gonna make an amendment to the motion?
No, I'm just saying it's a budget amendment ordinance.
So we don't.
Oh, thank you, yes. Ms. Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Chairman of the Budget, Finance, and Administration Committee meeting. I do want to address one thing that Mr. Mann said during the public hearing. We diligently have gone through this book. I appreciate you finding the error on page 87. And I'd like to ask for an amendment when we make that motion for us to correct the number. In the current budget amendment document, it reflects $320,000 in anticipated revenues. That number should be $620,000. I apologize for the error, and I'm sorry if that caused you a headache there. Additionally, Oconee County Auditor Christy Hubbard will be setting millage at the first meeting in October. And as such, it isn't typical that we work on a budget at the same time that we're setting millage. So we had an opportunity to really align these two things. and with the realized revenues that we are anticipating, I would like to ask council consideration to add a mill to the road maintenance fund. This does not change the general fund expenditure. This does not include any millage allocation for any other fund, just adding 1 mill off of anticipated revenues to the road maintenance fund. And that is in the capital funds.
So move. I'll make that motion.
Second.
You made the motion second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure I'm clear first. Did we have a second on the primary motion?
We did. It was Ms. Hart and Mr. Elliott.
And so for this motion, is both the request by Ms. Brock? Okay, thank you.
And if I may restate that motion, just so I'm very clear. 1, we will correct the Scribner's error on page 87 to reflect $620,000. 2 would be to add 1 mill in section 5 of the budget ordinance to the road maintenance fund.
So we have a motion and a second.
What does this take, the budget number 2?
The budget number, I'm flipping and thinking, or flipping and finding rather. The budget number anticipated allocation for that would bring that fund to $1,996,400 for realized revenues. Your expenditures, sir, if I may note, aren't anticipated to change because we are currently in a paving contract.
Which is what's great about these type of fund accounts, you can
Correct.
accrue a balance. And I would, when I was looking at that, I said, well, in the bridges, culverts, capital projects, total expenditure is 620, and the revenue didn't match, so that's
It's
good.
building out a fund balance, yes, sir. And just a note on the bridge and culvert fund, should the need arise at the direction of the road department director, if you had a fund balance in excess in the road maintenance fund and we had a bridge or culvert need that was not funded enough, we would come to council and ask for there to be a transfer of funds to cover such.
And then when we look at budget, I mean, Mr. Mann was speaking of, I think revenues and expenditures are different. In the road maintenance millage fund, the expenditures in 2022 was $359,000, went up to $2.5 million last year. $2.5 million is in this budget for anticipated expenditures. But that's what's important, again, about fund-based budgeting, is you can allocate expenses over years and prepare for it. Any other discussion on the motion of amendment? Hearing none, all in favor?
That was 5-0.
Okay, now we're back to the main motion. Is there any other discussion on the budget? Hearing none, all in favor?
That was 5-0.
Okay, we have no second reading of any ordinances. Okay, first reading of the following ordinance. Ordinance 2023-17, an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company identified for the time being as Project Galt, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating or modifying an existing joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County, so as to designate the property of the project as part of the park and other related matters.
So move.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
That was 5-0.
Discussion regarding action items. Discuss and act on the financial participation agreement proposed by the South Carolina Department of Transportation in relation to traffic signal and related improvements for the benefit of Board Warner, Akasol Incorporated, under grant funding from the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development. We are open for discussion of Ms. Brock, would you like to?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the council, I'll be happy to. Recently, excitingly, Borg Warner announced a $42.7 million expansion at their Seneca, South Carolina plant located on Mills Highway. They have received a $1 million grant from the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development. There is a necessity for an installation of a traffic signal at the intersection where the Borg Warner main entrance is and Wells Highway. And this agreement with the SCDOT would be that the county pay up to $200,000 and be reimbursed by the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development. I can say that fast 3 more times if you'd like. So essentially, the county would be a pass-through agency. Typically, the state DOT does not do business with individual businesses. Like they would do business with Oconee County government because they are a government. So we would be providing those funds as a pass-through and be paid back from the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development. I said I could say it 3 times, but apparently I'm going to stumble every time.
Mr.
Mr. Davis?
Chairman, I'm definitely in agreement on this. I would like to involve the school district, since now we're gonna have the high school on one side and the middle school on the other side, as they're looking toward their traffic area as well. I'm sure they're doing traffic study, but I'd like to have them at least involved some way, shape, or form
They
with
are.
this.
Mr. Davis, if I may address that, time is of the essence on this particular move.
I understand. I'm just talking about discussion. I don't need, financial participation is not there, but just discussion is there.
I would really like to see some coordination there, specifically for turn lanes for each, if that's an option for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else?
I make the motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
We have another action item, local ATAX recommendations, POT commission for fall 2023 cycle, $64,000. It is staff's recommendation that council approve of ATAX grant recommendations as presented. Somebody make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, the ATAX committee meets and talks about this. I was just kind of watching what they were doing. Thankful for what they do and taking their time to do that as a volunteer organization. Obviously, we're the ones that put them on there, but had some good discussion on that with some ATAX money and how to properly use that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
Right, next we have W.K. Dixon work authorization number 2. This is from the airport. It's the airport taxiway payment rehabilitation design phase services amount FAA 90%, $324,387. State 5%, $18,021.50. County 5%, $18,021.50. Project award, $360,430. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 23-24 budget process. The budget is $360,430. Project cost, $360,430, with a balance of $0. The FAA will pay 90% of these costs. The SCAC pays 5%, and the county pays a matching 5%. The grant agreement for this funding was approved at the August 15th, 2023 council meeting. The total amount that will come from the county funds is $18,021.50. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
All right. Before we go further, I'm gonna read a letter into the record. I apologize. I'm setting a timer or something. Put a sticky note on the screen. Dear sirs, I live at 304 Creek Court, West Union, South Carolina, which is off of Honeywood Drive on Country Johnson Road in the Scatterwood neighborhood, with Honeywood Drive, Creek Court, and Wildwood Court are county roads according to the Scatterwood Property Owners Association. Please consider resurfacing Wildwood Court and Creek Court as they have not been paved in several decades according to the homeowners association and have begun to deteriorate. Wildwood Court is in terrible condition with holes and grass covering the loop area. Not only is this road nearly impassable, its condition also greatly affects the overall appearance of the neighborhood. Creek Court, my road, is on a hill and rainwater has begun to wash out around the parts of the road, causing gravel and debris to wash across the road. This road pavement looks worn and a shiny black surface and large gravel rocks have begun to show. The homeowner association has documentation that states the county agreed to maintain these roads. As an Oconee County taxpayer, I am asking that you please resurface Creek Court and Wildwood Court. And this is Cecily Mikhailo Kreuzberger. All right. And for council committee reports, we have none. For board and commission appointments, we have one vacant, District 4 for Agriculture Advisory.
I do want to make a motion to move. Josh Owens is currently at large because I had District 4 filled. Josh Owens lives in District 4. I just need a motion to move him from at large to District 4.
We have a motion to move Josh Owens to District 4 from at large.
I second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
That is 5-0.
Okay, I need a motion to enter executive session to discuss the following items. Item regarding economic development matter, Project WASH. Discussion regarding economic development matter, Project Dual. Discussion regarding economic development matter, Project Parallel. Council discussion regarding a contractual matter related to the town of Salem, City of Seneca, City of Walhalla, and the City of Westminster. Receive legal advice and discuss a pending administrative complaint regarding the Oconee County Detention Center, along with a related contractual issue. Receive legal advice and discuss contractual matter related to the Oconee County Walk Crew. I have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hurrah.
I need a motion to exit executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a first and final reading of the following resolutions. Resolution 2023-15, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of intergovernmental agreements for fire protection and other emergency response services between Oconee County, South Carolina, and 1, the town of Salem, 2, the city of Seneca, 3, the city of Walhalla, and 4, the city of Westminster. Have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion, second by Mr. Hart. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Durham.
Yes, sir.
I would like to say that I appreciate our administrator, Ms. Brock, and her hard work in this, and also the towns working together for a partnership. This is definitely in the best interest of the citizens in and around those areas, and I look forward to continue those partnerships as we move forward. Thank you, Ms. Brock, for your,
Thank you, Mr.
I know it was
Davis.
a lot of work.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Ms. Allen?
Okay, next we have Resolution 2023-16, a resolution approving and authorizing Oconee County's consent to the transfer of a lease agreement between Kara H. Orr with Gloria Faye Orr Bashan, Glenda O. Brock, Susan O. West, as necessary, Herbert Paving and Grading Incorporated, and King Asphalt Incorporated, and other matters related thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Next, we have discussion regarding an action item. Discuss and act on proposal of Goldie Associates for design, planning, construction bidding, and construction oversight in relation to wastewater disposal issues at the Oconee County Detention Center. And with that, I'll make a motion, to pass staff recommendation that council will approve the award to Goldie and Associates in the amount of $87,000 and authorize the county administrator to execute documents and transfer adequate funds for this project.
So move.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Need a motion to adjourn?
Make motion.
Motion, Mr. Hart, second, Mr. Elliott, all in favor?